So hello, I'm delighted to be here this evening to talk to you about Chance to Change. It's actually the first time I've had the opportunity to talk to anyone really outside of the centre about this project, so it's really nice to have the chance to do that. So this is an intervention, behavioural change intervention that's currently in development. We're about 6 months into an 18-month project, and at the moment I'm sort of wrestling with the idea or how we're going to tailor our interventions. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about what my thinking is at the moment, but also sort of introduce the project to you. So as a lot of you probably know, a wide variety of factors influence health behaviour, and theory supports identifying which factors are most important to the individual. So for example, one of the strongest and most consistent we found determinants of behaviour is attitude towards that behaviour, and the idea is that there are certain beliefs underlying attitude. So in terms of condom use, there's beliefs around what the outcome expectancies might be. So if you use a condom, it might interrupt the flow of sex or reduce pleasure or things like that, but also protect against STIs. It's this kind of balance of all these different beliefs that affect whether you go on to use a condom or not. But our own research has found that it's particularly salient beliefs that are identified by different people vary by group. So males have different things to females, and not surprisingly, people who consistently use condoms, the kind of things that are important to them are that they protect against STIs, but people who are not using condoms, the kind of things that are important are the more things around reducing sexual pleasure and interrupting spontaneity. So we know that for certain groups, different things are important, but the real beauty of doing a sort of digital intervention is that we can identify for that particular person what is getting in the way of them using condoms. So the kind of theoretical basis for doing this sort of tailoring, but also we know that those interventions that are tailored are more effective, but also are more engaging to the user as well and more gratifying to use. So there's reasons to do it. So for us, a key design issue is how do we use our digital intervention in the first place when we've got a user using it to identify what are the factors that are driving their behaviour that we can look to change. So just hold that thought for a moment and I'll just tell you a bit more about our particular project. So I mentioned it's an 18-month project. It's funded by MRC, Public Health Interventions development money. It's a really nice scheme which allows us to really focus on the intervention development period, which is really important to get that right in the first place. And so we can model our pathways of interaction, and when we come to evaluation, our mechanisms of action, when we come to evaluation, see whether that was correct or not. The intervention is aims to increase condom use amongst those using internet chlamydia self-testing services. So in England, there is free testing for any young person aged between 15 and 24 years of age. And this can be in a GUM clinic, or it could be through their doctor, pharmacy, a number of community settings as well. But also local authorities commission the internet testing providers as well to deliver in their particular area. So in Coventry and Warwickshire, it's a company called Free Test Me who are one of the partners on this project. So 130,000 people every year at least use these internet testing websites to get tested for chlamydia, and in particular they attract more than the other types of services the hard to reach groups, particularly men and those from deprived backgrounds. And also, really the reason or the seed of the idea where this particular project came from is because we realised that this was a real missed opportunity to intervene. So in a lot of the face-to-face services, when a young person comes in for testing, they will have some sort of health promotion to try and encourage them to change their behaviour, but there's almost nothing on these types of websites. But at the same time, it's potentially a really, really good time to intervene, because if you'd pick someone off the street and start to talk to them about their behaviour, it's not in their mind at that particular point in time, but for people using this self-testing website, there's a period of time where it's very relevant to them, it's very top of the mind, and also they've perhaps been faced with the fact that they're not invincible, they can get an STI, and they're perhaps very receptive to information. So we thought this was a great time to build something in. So we want to develop an intervention that is tailored to the individual user, so particularly picks up on what is driving their behaviour and addressing that, Also for it to be personalised, so it uses their name, we know their gender as well, we know their age when they're using it. And for the intervention to be embedded within the existing user pathway. So at the moment we're building it into the user pathway through the free Test Me website. So progress to date is we've spent some time looking at the theoretical determinants of condom use for our target audience based on evidence from meta-analyses about what drives behaviour for condom use, and also on existing theory as well. And the kind of things, the things we're going to be addressing are outcome expectancy for condom use around pleasure, spontaneity and interruption of sex, which we know is important to this particular group. Also making condoms more available to this group, and also ensuring that they know how to correctly use the condom and feel confident to do that, and also that they have the skills to negotiate use with a partner and have the confidence to do that as well. We have a working group of young people who are following us throughout the project and advising us at every step of the way, and we've held a workshop to identify solutions to the kind of those above problems there. So there's just some photos of the workshop where everyone rotated around different groups working on different problems, and it was a really multidisciplinary sort of group of people. We had health technologists, digital technologists, our young people, health psychologists, really creative day where we came up with some great ideas. And we've begun to develop some prototypes for the content. So for example, we're looking at developing a box for young people to store condoms in at home that looks like a DVD case or a game console case, but inside you can store the condoms in it. And also we're writing tender specifications for other components of the intervention. So we're going to be having a service that delivers condoms on demand when you text for them, and they'll come to your whatever address you want really, but probably your home address. We're writing specifications for those at the moment. But what is still unresolved is how to link the content to the user's needs. So ultimately our goal is when a young person enters that user pathway and starts to receive content, that for that one person it's tailored to exactly what their particular needs are. So the presentation will be sort of tunnel, they won't get some components, they'll just get exactly what they need that fits in with their particular barriers to condom use. So the, just check the time. This is what the free Test Me website looks like when you start to go into it and you've decided you want to order a test pack to get yourself tested for chlamydia. So this is what's already there at the moment, some basic information about your gender, your age, ethnicity, previous sexual history, very, very briefly, your sexuality. So you answer those questions, it makes sure that you're in the right age bracket and you live in the area that they serve. And then you get sent this test kit, which inside, if you're a female, you can have either a vaginal swab or a urine sample, which you obviously take yourself and send back. Urine sample just for the males. It goes back, and then a few days later, it's just 3 or 4 days turnaround, you'll get your results either by email or text message, depending on what you've asked for in the first place. So our solution is going to be a sort of blend of online but also offline. So the plan is to have a kind of a website with the components hosted on it, but you'll link through to the particular ones. And that will be at different stages of the user pathway. So we've got lots of potential points at which to intervene. So when you first request your test, it says thank you, your test is on its way. On that bit of the website we can provide some messages there, identify what the particular needs are there. Also within the test pack itself we could put some messages in there too. Throughout the period they're waiting for their test result, very teachable moment, we could be sending content their way, again asking what their needs are. A lot of people using the service return back to the website during that period because they're anxious about their test result. They go back onto the website to see the progress of it. That's another opportunity as well. And then also when they receive their result. So we'll be directing them to particular points on our website for that intervention content. But how to identify individual factors and link to that content. So something that I've been considering recently is this idea of recommender systems. So this is something that everybody will have come across when they've used something like Amazon, and it says things like, other people who bought this book have also bought, or, you know, you like crime books, here's some other crime books, that sort of thing. So that's not ideal when you've got a one-off user and you don't have a big database of what all your kind of customers are doing, and it's kind of good for encouraging future purchases, but not so good for us. But another type of recommender system is knowledge-based, where you explicitly ask people what your preferences are, so what kind of books you like, and then it will provide you with the contents. That's more suited to us. So in a sense, we'll just ask people what are their most important drivers of condom use, and then matched up the content with them. But what I don't particularly like about that, it's a bit static and boring just to put a list of different factors and ask you to like identify which ones are most important to you, and also puts that demand on the user. So something we've been considering but don't particularly have the expertise in is having a more elaborate conversational sort of style of things, a bit more down the artificial intelligence route. We'll know, as I mentioned, some details about them, so we can use their name in the conversation, and the idea is that we might ask them a question, they'll give, like, in terms of what is driving their behaviour, they'll give a response, that'll be parsed and sort of split up that language, and it'll fit to a database, and a suitable response will be given, which will direct them to particular components of the website. So our next steps are to look into possible solutions that use a knowledge-based recommender system, identify some experts in that particular area, and see if we can build something with them. But we've got a limited budget to develop our whole intervention. So we need to make sure that I want to make sure the content of the website is, and the intervention is high spec and really good, and the whole intervention is really engaging. And I don't want to take too much money away from that and spend it on this recommender system, but at the same time, that could work really nicely for us and create a better user experience, which ultimately is engaging and keeps the person involved. So that's kind of what I'm wrestling with at the moment, and where we're up to with the whole piece of work. So thank you.